I'm gonna start a screen share.
So thank you, everybody. Welcome. So I call it like a workshop because we start this exercise because we saw that there is a lot of needs and clarifications for the gene bank managers and particularly data managers and regarding how to use the GGCE. So we request in collaboration with the Crop Trust, we put together all the needs that all the 11 gene banks from the CGIAR need to put implementation or to implement the GGC at 100% in their gene banks functionalities. And we came out with this was one of the best ways to share the information. So Matija and Juan Carlos Maldonado, I'm sure that majority of you already know them very well because you are working with them from long time. You already know them, but they can make a short presentation. I will not request to all of you to make your own presentation because we are already here 24 people. But as the time goes and more seminars comes, more demonstrations comes from the Crop Trust, from the CGIAR also, and from the gene banks itself, we will get along better and know better each other. So my name is Ana Oliveira. I'm the coordinator for the gene bank management information for the CGIAR, for the gene bank, in supporting the gene banks for the CGIAR, and working very closely with the Crop Trust on this. So I give the word now to Matija because I don't want to waste the time, and we can start with a very brief introduction from Matija and Juan Carlos. We can go for the concepts and demonstration of the system. Thank you. Matija.
All right. Please just let me know if you see the screen.
Yes.
All right. Well, first off, hi everyone. I didn't check the full list of participants, but I'm happy you're all here. The objective today was to talk about some of the key concepts in GGCE, actually key concepts in GeneBank data management, and show at least or indicate and show what is possible with GGC as it is, what the different types of material are that you can manage with GGC, but we need to cover some of the basics first, so that things become a bit clearer what is what and what isn't what. So I really want to start just with the basics, and for this demonstration as well, we have a completely blank database with no accessions, no data in it. It's basically a stock default empty GGC installation, which we will use to demonstrate or to illustrate the things we talked about here today. I'll try to keep this part short, just give the concepts, and then the concepts of accession and gene bank inventory management. And from there, Juan Carlos is going to take off and show some of the additional tools that are available in GGC that make all of that, some of those activities and actions in the system a bit more convenient for you, for your technicians, and for you. All right, so I just want to go and discuss the key concepts that are relevant to GGC. One's accession, and the other one is the inventory of your physical material in your storage. But for that, let's tackle the accession, right? So I want you to imagine that you are that you're starting up a gene bank and all your shelves are empty, and you've acquired the first sample of some germplasm, and that sample represents some crop, a breeding line, or a population of a crop that you're interested in, right? So you basically received a bulk of seed or a plant or whatever it is, right? So it does come in different shapes and forms. You can have tubers, cuttings, whole plants, all different types of germplasm. And it's important to record what shape the germplasm you have in your collection is taking. And this is also relevant to how you have received the germplasm. So for seed, for let's say for wheat and most other seed collections, that germplasm will come in the shape of seed already. For other crops, that might be cuttings or plants or whatever else. All right, so that sample. So basically, imagine a bulk of, some of seed, for example, or a plant. That germplasm is accompanied by the passport data that explains what that is, what it's called, where it's from, its history, and so on, right? Um, you generally wouldn't accept something into a collection that does not explain where it's coming from, or if you don't know its history, right? You will also add information about who provided this sample to you, this most original sample, because you're the one who received it, right? And you'll also record when you received that thing. So imagine you received a bag of seed with a collecting form or whatever filled out, and that's gonna be your first call it accession in the system, right? So since this is our first acquisition, we would go ahead and register this new accession and give this germplasm, so this bulk of seed, its own accession number. And in this case, we'll use T1 as the accession number. So just to stress again, accession number is not a number purely. It's made out of usually some sort of prefix, a sequential number, and usually a suffix. And how you format them, it depends on your on your practices. There's different naming schemes, IRGC in ERI, TME dash something in IITA, and so forth. I mean, you all know those. So the different numbering schemes are used for some different crops within the same gene bank, right? So in IITA, you'd have a TME, TGM, and so on. So basically a different prefix. Within that prefix, the next accession would get the next sequential number, and you want that fully automated. On occasion, you may want to use also temporary accession numbers, and it's really up to you how you decide to do those. The important thing is that the passport data of the succession is kept together, and even if you renumber the accession, so if you change it from T1 to IRGC 1000, the concept is still the same. You're changing just the number of that accession record in the system. So that's the accession, right? Then, because you are in possession of that physical material of germplasm that came to your doorstep, you would also register that inventory of accession T1, right? So it belongs to the T1 accession. And this physical inventory, this physical material represents the original sample. You could think of it as generation number 0 of this material. And in the database, you record the type of germplasm, the amount you have, and where you are keeping it. And you would give this inventory the inventory number T1-1, for example, or whatever approach you already are using in your gene bank. So each inventory, so the physical material that exists in different places in your gene bank, in your collection, they have their own numbers, so that you can refer to them and talk about them. They usually also have barcodes, so that you can quickly look up the information that's kept in the database and modify it. And that way, it's directly associating with the correct physical thing that exists in your gene bank. And I think with that, these are just the key basics. So the inventory represents the physical stuff that you maintain in your collection. And let's just start with that. And I'm going to try to switch over to a different window. Please let me know if you see the GGCE screen. Just somebody confirm.
Yes, Matija.
Thank you, Anna. All right, so I'm going to log into GGCE, hopefully. I'm going to log in. For some reason, I'm configured in Portuguese, but okay. And I'm going to do exactly what we've discussed. So I want to register a new accession because this is my first ever accession that I've received. I have no accessions in my system. And I'm just going to go and create one. And we said we're going to call it T1, right? I'm going to say this was fine. Zea. I think this should still give me something. And if not, I'll need to check quickly what has happened. Hold on. I'm trying to find another browser window, sorry. Mm, um, trying to find my way in. Unfortunately, I was unable to connect to the thing. So let's go. Hold on. Home, taxonomy. I'm gonna try to find my ZEA quickly. I just want one so that I have an example. Oh, it's not modifiable. I'm sorry. Hold on. Fortunately, I have failed right now on the taxonomy search. Live demos are always a bit tricky. Chrome. Juan Carlos, can you register me a taxonomy quickly of something in the database and tell me what it is? All right, we'll get back to the taxon. So by adding the accession, the key important things you want to register is the prefix and the sequence number. You can, because we are starting at one, I mean, if you would decide to start at 1,000, that's also quite valid, but let's start with one. I will not explain all the different things that are available in this form because there's quite a lot of them. And the important thing is to just cover the key bits of what I need to do to register. So I'm gonna say this accession is active. I'm not gonna fill out any other details that are not required. So anything that has an asterisk usually is. So I have to pick those. I'm gonna say that I received this accession today. The date, and because it is received to date, or if it were received last week, I would use that date. This part is important because it deals also with somewhat with the legal status of the accession, and you need to know when it hit your doorstep. I'm gonna skip all the other parts of the form. Hopefully, I'm gonna be able to pick a site, and if not, then okay. And I think that should be. Do we have a taxon stored? Did you add a taxon for me?
Yes, that is the taxon is right there.
I, okay, Juan Carlos says he added a taxon. I'm still not able to. Okay, I'll just pick there. Okay, safe. So what I've done right now is I've registered an accession, right? This was the first part of the operation. So this is the container for all the passport data associated with this first material that I received, but I have not registered any of the physical stuff I actually own. So the accession records, or the accession passport data, that represents sort of a container for container, a concept around which all the physical material that belongs to this is aggregated under. So I'm gonna go to the next part. So we said because we have the physical inventory with the physical bag of seed, I'm gonna say fine. I have received. I have the physical inventory of T1. Yeah, this is a required field. Try to pick the policy. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna pick what one right now. This is seed. Inventory prefix, we would say, for example, T1, 1, leave that. Again, the naming depends on each institute. But what we want to record is that bulk that we have just received in a way, right? I'm gonna leave that. We'll say the maintenance site, the physical GenBank place where we maintain this inventory is the workshop site. So this is usually your GenBank. The propagation date is actually something along the lines of when this material came to exist, right? It's a very important date to know. So if something was collected in a collecting mission, you could use the collecting date of the sample, right? Because that seed was collected then. The important part here is really the year of when this germplasm came to be. So we're not going to use today, we're going to use 2023, for example, right? And we could also just use a month or just a year, yeah, for example. There's different ways to express the timing. I'm going to skip all the other fields except for the required ones. Now I'm going to say available. Let's leave that empty. I'm going to leave all of this empty and try to save this inventory. So what we have done right now is, if I try to switch back to the other presentation, which I'm kind of struggling to do. We have we have registered the germplasm, the physical germplasm that we have. We have not specified any quantity just yet, but we did say it belongs to accession T1. So the accession, the first thing that you would register in the system is that initial material that you received. You would document it further separately, but it's very important that you have that first inventory, the physical inventory, registered in the system. GGCE will also automatically assign a barcode that you can print your labels. And from here, you can do everything else. You could basically say, okay, I have, to be more practical, I would say I have 1,000 seed on hand, right? And then I would say perhaps this material, 1,000 seed, and I would say I also maintain it in let's say LTS, freezer 1, racks, rack 7, shelf 1, and that's enough. For example, right? Or I would start with rack 1. Actually, call it active. All right. So that's where this thing is. So I registered, I have 1,000 seed in this location, and all of these belong to T1. Now, in Genebanks, a lot of stuff happens, and you will already now you could distribute this material. You usually wouldn't, but usually what you'll have is you will have the seed you have here, you'll take a sample, you'll plant it out, and you'll get a new inventory. You'll get a new batch of physical seed, a new generation of seed, which is basically sourced from this physical inventory. Yeah, it represents T1, but it's not the same generation anymore, for example. So I'm gonna go and manually add something else. I'm gonna say I've selected a source, a parent inventory, where I source the material from. It belongs to T1. It's still seed. It's still maintained on this site. We'll say it's propagated today. We'll call it generation 1, for example. And we will not assign location, but we can also say active 1, rack 1, shelf 1, and then say we have 2,000 seed of this available. Yeah, or not available. We have 2,000 seed of this on hand, and I think that should be about it. So under inventory, oh, actually, this one didn't get the right name. What did we call that inventory? Actually, T1 as the one. So I'm gonna have to rename this one. T1 2. All right, sorry for that confusion. So if I look at the inventory tree, actually I should go look at the accession. Hold on, accession. If I look at the inventory items, T21 seed is here. It has T1 as the parent. And if I look at the accession, we know that this inventory, that again still represents the accession T1, we have 2,000 seed of it. It's on this site. It follows, has a few other attributes. I think also storage location will be included here. So location Act 1, R1, S2, say they seem to be on the same spot, on the same rack. They have different propagation dates. Yeah. But the rest is practically very similar. They are both inventories of the same accession, just different generations. Now, obviously, if I would take this inventory and multiply this one, we would get more, child or sub-inventories with different generations underneath here. So this is completely manual. What we have in the system right now, if I look at inventory, if I refresh this, I have two inventories, yeah, two physical packets of seed, if you want, of the same accession, yeah, with different quantity, the same location. Where is it? Down here, right? Different propagation dates and the same storage space, if you want. So if you want to add more inventories, no problem. You can do it completely by hand as we've done it here, right? When you need new inventories. Let's say we had, if this, for example, if this accession, right? If this accession, for example, was a tree, yeah? So if this was not wheat, if this was something perennial, that's something that's basically stays out there, you would register that accession, and your primary inventory that you take care of in your system is a record about a tree that exists somewhere in nature. That tree has, a location, it has a name, it has GIS coordinates because you know physically where, where on the planet that is, but it's one tree, right? So instead of having that, so you would have one tree of that species, and anytime you collect seed from that one tree, you could create, or you would create, a inventory item that says I have seed from this tree, from this accession, but all those seed would be underneath the tree one that is of type, plant or tree actually here. So managing field collections, seed, pollen, DNA samples, all of those things are doable with this same concept, because the material you physically have is what gets recorded in your inventory, and anything that moves together as one unit, let's say a bag of seed, that is one record in the database. If you split the bag of seed into two bags of seed, or if you extract some seed and put it in a different bag, that new bag is a separate inventory. It has its own number, its own barcode, because that bag as a whole with thousands of seed can move around in the, and carry those thousand seeds. Similarly, it's the similar concepts apply to in vitro. You would have let's say you have a banana in the field. You have one accession, of banana in the tree. It has one inventory that happens to be a plant, right? It's one tree, for example, and then you take a cutting from that tree and do the introduction process and all that stuff. And each of those subcultures that you would do is tracked in the database, in the system, as an individual entity, all the way until the quantity that you have on hand is zero. When the quantity is zero, that thing is exhausted, right? Is empty, but you are still going to keep all the records about it. So to talk quickly about the different types of material, I want to just show you the form. When you talk of inventory type, there's a list of options that you see here. So the inventory types, or the types of germplasm that this system is able to manage at this moment, is seed, whole plants, in vitro material, so in vitro plantlets, and DNA samples as such. Yeah, this is a completely customizable list of types that you can customize as you wish for your own setup. So if you're not managing in vitro in your collection, you go and remove it. If you're not managing DNA samples, at this moment you go and remove it. If you are managing something else like pollen or cuttings separately, you are able to go and add those additional things to your configuration of GGC. So the key concepts of inventory management are: you have many inventories representing the same accession. They have usually different or the same generation year. It depends on what you've done. They have different quantity, or they have a quantity. And it's very important that they also have the propagation date, so when they were created, and the location, so that you know where to find them. The barcoding parts of each inventory are useful because if you scan this barcode in GGC, you would get immediately to, and I'm gonna just fake it here. If you go to GGC completely blank, you're never, you just came to office, you just had your coffee. If you scan a barcode of something that you see, it's going to bring you exactly to that record in GGC that talks of that material that you are now looking at, right? You scan a barcode, you get all the information. So you can manage seed in vitro, plants in the field, whatever it is you currently manage. The concept is it has a quantity, location, and it belongs to an accession. And if possible, it links to the parent inventory from where, from whence it came, right? So if you do multiplication, you want to say, I actually picked seed from this bag, not from this bag, so that all those links are done appropriately, right? So S2, the one I'm currently looking at, was sourced from T1 1 SD. So it's just the numbering convention here. With that, the important part, what is not an inventory? So if I go and I take, I wanna move some stuff around here. Let me just do that quickly. I want to move quantity somewhere where I can see it more easily, but I forgot where it is. If I take a sample of the material, right? So if I take if I take 50 seed from this, call it packet, yeah? If I take 50 seed from this packet for viability testing, that is not a new inventory that I want to track. It's not a new inventory because what you've taken out for a test, it's a test that's going to refer to what you took the sample from, right? So if you take 50 seed from this bag and do viability testing, the viability testing results should be associating with this specific inventory, right? Here. The T12 SD should have that viability results now, right? If you take 100 seed and you distribute them, you don't want to track them because you're never gonna know what happened to those 50 seed. You're giving them out. So anything that you take out and you never see again is not, you should not register that as a new inventory in your system. However, you want to register that the withdrawn inventory. So if I take 50 seed out and plant them in the field, if I do that for the purpose of multiplying the seed, then I do want to register that as a new inventory so that when I get information about how much was harvested and where it is, what is going there, I already have a record in the system that documents where the stuff is. And the linkage between that sub-inventory, the withdrawn inventory, that link is going to exist, and it's a T13 SD came from T2 SD in this case, and it's currently being processed, or we're doing it's in a different process of the gene bank operations. That's the main things where you don't register inventories. So if you just need a sample for the purposes of a test, that is not an inventory, that's a sample. And you should design a label design that literally says sample on it, so that you know that it's representing the just a sample. If you expect something to come back and you want to continue tracking it forever and ever, then you do register the withdrawn material as a new inventory in the system. With that, I think, Juan Carlos, you can show some of the practical tools. So instead of doing things by hand like I've done now, what we want to do is show some of the tools in the system that allow all of these, editing that I've done to be a bit easier and quicker. So with that, Juan Carlos, please take over.
Okay, thank you, Matija. Can you hear me? Please, Matija, stop sharing your screen. To share screen. Share screen. There's share screen. Oh, what's happening here? Cancel. Share screen. What is this one? Share screen. No, which window? Sure. Introduction to GGCE. Yes. Share. Yes. Okay. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all,
Go ahead.
okay. So, maybe most of you know to me. My name is Juan Carlos Aragón, and I'm working as a Genebanks information system here in the crop crops. I used to do the crop crops 3 years ago, and now we continue with working in the world of the Genebanks. Okay. My role here in this moment is to show to you some tools available in the GGCE in order to say help to the technician or to create and use the system. As Matija explained, the key important part in order to use the GGCE is to the barcode. No, with this, with the barcoding is the idea to identify each sample or each inventory with unique identifier in order to link this inventory with the database. So, as Matija explained before, we have the Matija create in manual form in the inventories and the accession. In that case, I want to show to you the acquisition option that will allow to you to create in automatic form the accession and inventory. In this case, as you can see here, in the inventory section, you can see the acquisition. Now, we go to the new acquisition, and here is the template. If you want to join, you want to group many accession that you receive as a donation, by example, you want to create a group in order to identify quickly that new accession. In that case, we to say group name, we say this one. The prefix, I'm going to say introduction. And in this moment to say only I want to create, as an example, a one accession. After that, the system requests to you the species, and we have to use this. In this case, after that, you need to select the maintenance site. In this case, is the workshop. Every time that you create or use the inventory, it's important to define the mentor maintenance policy. In this case, because it's an introduction, I want to select the introduction maintenance policy. And here is the prefix of the inventory that will be created. That will start with this special prefix, the inventory will say seed. If you have information regarding to the donor, you can to select information to the donor without any problem. If no, you need to continue as a preview in that you see here. In this moment, you say, you will create a one accession with this inventory. Yeah. What is the meaning of the message here? Every time that once that you receive a new accession or donation that is to identify in that moment the physical material with the barcode. In that case, I'm going to say save. And now the idea is to print the barcode for that specific inventory. And we say submit. And we need to show to here to print. Okay, maybe you can do here. Now, once that you receive the material, you can to print the barcode and this you to stick in the container that you decide. In order to verify that is proper, we say we have one accession and this inventory. Let me to say that once that you have the barcoding or the barcode the inventory, you can do scan that specific inventory. As you to say here, and now, as you can see here, now that specific inventory and accession was created if you can see here. This is the accession, information of the accession. As if you want to the inventories under this accession, you have the item. And you have now this specific inventory created with the option that you have available in the inventory analysis through the acquisition. In this one that you see, you create, we say, in automatic form at the same time as inventory and the accession. Obviously, if you can see here, we don't have any information regarding to the quantity or the material that I received. The next step usually is you want to record this kind of information, the quantity that we receive. For this, instead to do this manually, also we have here one option that they say update quantity. This option allows to us to update the quantity of the specific inventory. In this case, also it's possible to use or scan our barcode of the inventory. It's the same.
Do it slowly.
Okay. Now this is here. And now here you can update the quantity of the inventory. As you can see here in this icon, if you have maybe electronic balance with Bluetooth option or connection, it's possible to link the GGCE or the device that you have with this. Also, maybe you have electronic balance plugged into the system or into the computer, and with some click into the electronic balance, you can to update the quantity on hand. Again, this is important. With this, using the barcode labels, the user doesn't need to type anything, only needs to read the barcode. In this moment, for this example, I would say the quantity that I need to type is like the electronic one is not here. Say we have 500 hits. And that's what we have here. I want to say this is safe. Now it's complete. We say this is the number of the seats that we have. Again, in order to use or continue using the same, if you want, of course, you want to go to here, read the barcode. Now, the quantity that was taken in the electronic balance is already updated in the system. It's the same concept in this moment. That is the idea in order to head to the user. They don't need to type any information in order to link the physical material with the database. The system allows you to read the barcodes and link directly to the information that they want. Yeah? This is something that already you have the quantity. The next step in this case is, okay, I have this, but in which place I want to store the the inventory. The idea in this is to assign a storage location. The system also allows to you to assign the storage location. These are other options that we have that we can to use for assign the location. In that case, the information that I'm going to do is first the maintenance site. In which place, yeah, is conserved the material. It's in workshop. We start here, the location that we have is there MPS room 1, rack 2, shell 4, I will say box 3, and we say apply. As you can see here, in that direction, I don't have any of this. But maybe I want to add, is to assign, let me check something here. Storage location, I want to add to this as a barcode. I will say add, and we assign this to the disclose, and we say already is assigning to this, and we say save. Assign this event to new location, we say save. Of course, most of the time when you assign a storage location, you have many, we say, inventories, and you can to read all of this to that. Also, it's possible to add that records through the one the search into the database. Assign one inventory. In this case, I will say yes. And now you can see here is the information that you have of where is the place when you storage this inventory. If you go to the directly to the information, now here's the location of the gas storage. This is the way to assign the storage location to the inventory. That is, again, the use of the barcode of the GCE is very important, yeah, or is the key part in order to approach all the facilities that the GCE allowed for the usage. That is something I explained to you. And one more thing we can to use is the split inventory. Most of the time, maybe you have in this moment, you receive, by example, this inventory, and you want to split this inventory in long-term storage and active storage. In that case, also, we have the option to split inventory. And we say save, is the split inventory, and continue. We need to read the barcode for split. The system allows to you to select the number of splits or the new package that you want to create. In that case, I would say in this moment, I want to create 1. Okay, I want to create 2. Yeah, as you can see here, the first one allows to me to say this. I want to this one for, we say, active. It's inventory with the same prefix. And we say here, the quantity, if you want to assign in this moment, that is one option. I'll say 500. And if you want to type the container, we say aluminum foil. And you need to select, this is for the active. The second one, we say, this is for the long-term storage. Inventory number, that is okay. Quantity on hand, we say with him. With this, what do you have? I want to check the yes. And with this optional, because here our recommendation is that you take your original package and go to the electronic balance and take the weight, yeah, in that specific in order to get the correct quantity that you have. Yeah, this is the best way. In order to see something here, according to that, this is this option. Okay, the containers, so it's the same. It's not mandatory, but you say a preview. And now, from the original, you will create 2 new inventories. Yeah, because you split the original package into more. We say save, and okay, relabels, and we exactly the same. Okay, now we have 2 different labels. Yeah, for each new patch of the seed that we have. Now, in order to check, I will create the first one. This is the first one. And you can see that is important. If you remember, this new inventory, we take the seed from this original inventory. Also, the system populate or fill the parent inventory where was taking the seed for this new inventory. Yeah. I will go directly to the accession in order to see the tree. You say, go to that event in the here. You say inventory tree. And now you can see what's the original that we take created for the acquisition. And this one comes from the split inventory. Or if you want to read that, this is the option that we have for create or show to us all the history for this inventory. For the moment, that is something that this is the option that I show to you. I'll come back with you, Anna, or this option. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matija. Thank you very much, Juan. So I open the floor for the
If
colleagues.
I just may wrap this up. So we did not go into much detail, did not want to go there, but we wanted to show some of the tools that are available that are very commonly used in day-to-day things that will allow you to, not you, but more technicians to more quickly and effectively or efficiently manage the quantities, locations, the identities of the physical samples that are in your collection. We'll leave it at this. We wanted to cover the different types and explain that they, in general, they all behave the same, regardless of germplasm form. They have a source inventory. They propagate to new inventories, but they all have in the end a location and quantity, which is critical to, and a barcode, which is critical for effective data management. So thank you for that. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you, Matija, for that. So, colleagues, as we can understand, we have here different levels of understanding of the GGCE. So I'm sure that some of you are very aware about it, and some of you maybe not. So it's something that we also can discuss after and to see the needs. But now I really want to open the floor to all of you, if you are willing to make any question. And if not, I will follow up with you for, please just mute your microphones.
Sorry.
No problem. And we can see where are the needs to tackle more, and also to understand if we are applying in our daily actions what was explained here, and if not, what can be done for that. So I open the floor. Anybody want to say any comment, any suggestion? If anybody understand anything, if you didn't understand, that which is okay, Chamba, please. Yes, kindly.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Matija. Thank you, Carlos. So I couldn't attend last meeting you had with data managers. So, but I want to understand. So this webinar. So what is the plan? Will it be a series of webinars? What will be the frequency? And whether we have some is well planned to know exactly the topic we will discuss about during each webinar, so that we will know exactly. So because there's a background already with some pending requirement in GGCE discussions that went on and so on. So but I want to, at least if you can give us a clarification to see how this will be done throughout the year. So yes, so then Anna, I'll pray.
Yes, so let me try to share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, and maybe I would, I should give a little bit more update on that. So this came because we put all together the needs for all the 11 gene bank centers. And we discussed with the crop trust, and we see that some of them are common to all the gene banks, some are more specific. So one of the actions that we start to think about it is that we could start to explain some of the needs. So this, inclusive this workshop, it's based on the Excel that we work from the last 4 months all together. So this is not just the need for one center. This is the need for all the centers. And I gave the option to Matija and to Juan to choose one of the topics, and we could start, because it is quite difficult understanding that the centers have different levels of understanding of the GGC and the use, because some gene banks are already using, some gene banks are not using at all the GGC. But in the end, what we want is that everybody will use the GGCE at the same level, okay, and with the same common understanding. We had to start for something. So from now on, my idea is that we will continue this kind of workshops, but it will be based on your needs. It is not just for the theory or just to say to the public that we did a seminar or we did a workshop. No, we really want that this will be useful for you and for the gene bank. We could make an agenda, but I would prefer now to listen from you and to listen how useful it is and what are the needs based on the Excel that we did, that already have your needs, okay? And based on that, Matija and Juan also can support better, because I don't think so that it is useful just as to say to Matija or to Juan Carlos and say, let's give a seminar, overall seminar. No, I think we should be very focused on what we are doing and our needs. So now I would like to listen from you. Chamba, I hope it is useful. Yes, Alberto.
Hello. Do you have a manual with all this information, step by step? Is something like GGCE for Dummies or something like this?
Matija?
Hey, Antonio. Yeah, in GGC, every page on the bottom in the menu, there's a link called Help. If you try to hit that thing, you'll come to the documentation website where a lot of these things are explained, which I guess people should be familiar with. But because there's a lot of different topics and tools to cover, not everything is yet fully documented on this website. You can reach that website by going to HTTPS or just Google GRIN-Global Community Edition, and for you then. So the link to the GGCE website with the manuals, with the quick start is there. And it's also on every instance of GGCE that we prepared for you in the past or you run yourself.
Thank you, Matija. So one answer and one possibility, because we are here to give solutions, it's that like I said, we are at different levels of understanding and knowledge. So one thing, Alberto, that can be done, and this doesn't need to be done just by the Crop Trust or even by CIAT, it can be done by CIMIT. So the colleagues that already are using on the daily activities in the gene bank, they can also, we can propose a seminar or even a demonstration like today, just for the basics, and we will have a record for everybody. So anybody can just say, even now, say, I know how to go from this to this portion, and I can give a demonstration online. And we record, and that is a documentation, because I know that in a daily basis, it's very difficult if we want to implement things to read everything. But we should be aware, like Matija said, the things are there, so we should read it. But my advice now and suggestion is that from anybody here that already is using the GGCE, who wants to give a workshop next week, for example, next Friday or next Thursday, 1 hour, in showing like the basic functionalities of the GGCE and saying, this is for this, this is for this. And this will be like a book for dummies, yes. Suggestions?
Sorry, Anna, before going to that, so they presented the storage locations. So we had this discussion on that aspect already to see how it can be more flexible, dynamic, instead of having fixed levels of storage locations, because there are cases where you have more than 4 steps. So that brought the case of what CIAT, did on the aspect. So my question is there, do they have discussion, together to see how it can be incorporated in this version?
So I will
To
let
address
Matija also
that
to add something on that, but let's be very specific, because my purpose with these workshops and seminars is to show that the things, if we have a better version or if we have a better manner to go, we go for it. But we need to prove that really that is the best way to go.
Yeah, and it's not specific to one GenBank. Yes, it's for all the GenBanks. Conserving, inventories.
So Chamba, I think we can tackle that, yes, by demonstrating that. Okay. Thank you. Matija, do you want to add something?
No, not at this point, because we were basically trying to looking at the feedback received from the different CG gene banks. The key misunderstanding was that you can't manage, that you can only manage seed, and the objective was to demonstrate that you actually can manage all of the different types, and that they do link together, and that you have all that information in the same one system for your collection.
Okay, thank you. Abigail. Please, you are muted, Abigail. Otherwise, Carolina?
Yes, I can go. Well, first, thank you, Matija and Juan Carlos, for the nice explanation. It was very, very well demonstrated. I'm just curious, maybe I miss, but when you incorporate an accession, a new accession, or even when you distribute. I didn't see the legal part of that. Is there any plan to incorporate also the manage of SMTA, for example? Right now, I mean, as you know, CIMIT is currently very active using GGCE. So all the guys are here. They are better to me because they work every day with GGCE. But and Rocio is also here, and she worked with SMTA. But currently, we are working with EasySMTA, which is very nice because we report automatically to FAO. Is there any plan to incorporate this EasySMTA into GGCE? Because I think right now it's in different platform, no? And will be nice to put it together, no? And as a one process in the acquisition of material and also in the distribution of material. It's just a curiosity. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolina. Let me, if I may, I almost want to let your team respond to this, but let me try to share the window. So from GGCE, as I said, if you click help, you're gonna get to the documentation. Under here, in this, we include the GLIS minting of DOIs and distributions with SMTA. I actually didn't demonstrate that, but let's say we want to obtain a DOI for this accession. If I submit to GLIS, it needs to be visible to external users, so I have to make it public and say save. This accession now has a DOI. Yeah, this is a test DOI, obviously, but basically things like integration with all the treaty systems. So DOI registration, SMTA generation, and SMTA reporting are included and part of GGCE. You asked about the legal status. Legal status is as part of the accession passport data. A lot of these categories come with the system. So MLS, you have different levels, but you can just use the generic one. You can also say just not in MLS, and you can define your own levels if you wish. And in terms of generating SMTAs, yes, also that is was discussed. I think actually the request came from CIMIT, and we collaborated on making that work. I think that covers the integration with EasySMTA, reporting on EasySMTA's legal status and on distribution.
Right, thank you. Yeah, we are generating DOI. This is, we do every day, but it was a curiosity of if there is any plan to integrate the EasySMTA, but thank you.
So let me add on that. So Matija, as you explained, it's already something there. So what would need, because I don't think so that it was that what Carolina is requesting, or am I wrong, Carolina?
Sorry, Anna, I didn't get your point.
My point is that, are you satisfied with the answer from the Crop Trust? Means that Matija already explained that it's already something there. Okay.
Yeah,
so
of
it's
course.
Explained.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, the registration is there, the DOI is there. We are currently using. I think that the missing part is that we are working with the EasySMTA, which is independent platform, no, and works very well. But I know many Genebanks are still on paper, no, and doing SMTA on paper with signature, and manual signature. So at least we move to EasySMTA, no, and not all CIMIT, just the Genebank. But I think it's little by little we can integrate. But yeah, definitely.
So that it would be more integration from each center and to be more digitalized, right?
Yeah, to also homogenize this process across Genebank, no?
Thank you.
Welcome.
I don't see any other question. Abigail, I don't know if you want to ask something, because now I don't see your hand raised.
So it seems she has a problem with her mic, so she wants to type in the chat.
Okay, so let me see if there is anything in the chat. No problem. Anyway, you can reach me for any question. I didn't saw here anybody volunteer for the demonstration for dummies. So let's see how we go with that, okay? Because I think it's important, yes. But I would not request this to the Crop Trust, because I think there are more points to be addressed from their side and based on our requirements. So I will follow up this on another way. If nobody else have anything to add or to comment, thank you very much, Matija, really. Thank you very much, Juan. Thank you to all. Myself, Matija, and Juan, we will talk now what it will be the next and when, and you will be invited. Suggestions, we are open to suggestions, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I would
Thank
like
you.
to answer Abigail